Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at the maintenance of Pentair's offering for salt chlorination. This is the iChlor 30. Not as robust as its Hayward competitor, but still has a couple of interesting features that we can leverage for the maintenance and good operation of this device. These weird artifacts we see on the screen is due to the timing of the camera. You don't actually see this on the device itself. Lifting the waterproof cover gains access to the controls, which are co-located on the cell itself. It's all one unit. This being the control panel, and below we have the cell over here. Unlike the Hayward unit, there is no indicator light on here telling you that maintenance should be conducted. There is, however, a reverse polarity feature that could mitigate the buildup of scale on the cells and can be set to 3, 4, or 5 hour increments as needed. We'll go into that later. The instructions has a guidance for checking the cell every 2 months and descaling with an acid wash if necessary. Your cell might not be in an ideal location to handle acid, so follow that cable back up to its connector. We can see right over here, I make my way up and around, and we see that connector fits here into this box. This box is a salt chlorinator power center, and we should always ensure that power is off first before disconnecting this cable. A warning label says the same thing. The acid solution will immediately destroy pavers and concrete as well as lawn, so be aware. And we'll kick things off by cutting power at the breaker, because none of this is worth dying over. Up on my top right, I see the heat pump, and just below it, I see the IC30. I'm going to cut power to this first. On the top left is the pool pump, and then we have the booster pump for the fountains. There are capacitors in the power supply, so when you cut power, it does take several seconds before it shuts off, so be sure to wait some time before you start messing with the device. With the chlorinator off, I'll now shut off this pool pump. Pump is off and the pressure is 0. Now for the boost pump, and everything gets quiet. The heat pump could also be shut off as well. I chose not to. I have a video on the maintenance of this heat pump. You can click the link on the top right to take you to that if you want to know more. Connectors on both sides of the salt chlorinator can unscrew, allowing the salt chlorinator to be released. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. The direction of its placement is important because we could see the arrow here is right on top of the flow sensor, which will not work in the opposite direction. So remember which way the arrow is pointing before you start to remove this device. After a few turns, I then loosen the other side, again, lefty-loosey. And I say that because if you forget and turn it really tight in the wrong direction, you can crack these fittings. Raising this cable, we see another arrow pointing in this direction, keeping in mind how important the position is. Loosening that fitting, and then the other fitting, all the while supporting the chlorinator because one fitting is removed and we don't want to put any stress on the PVC. Now I pull back very gently against the pipe to give space to remove the salt chlorinator. And we could see a good amount of scale buildup. Nothing crazy, but a good amount. It was a new pool filled with hose water, so a lot of hard water. That's what did it. Turning around the other way, we do see that flow switch sticking through there, and that's why the direction is so critical. This area is sufficient to work, so I won't be needing to relocate the chlorinator. However, I will unscrew the cable anyway for demonstration and safety purposes. So I'm just unscrewing it. It comes right out. You could in fact cut your cable ties and relocate it somewhere safe to work. If this is the regular amount of scale after 2 months, it could possibly be mitigated by setting the reverse polarity from 3 hours up to 5 hours. I have a separate video on the use and optimization of the salt chlorinator. You can click on it in the top right corner. Should this flow switch fail, and they do fail, it is removable from the top here. This cover snaps off. It can be taken out and replaced as a separate unit. First, I'll try to spray off any scale or debris. And that didn't do anything for the scale. May have knocked out some debris, but the scale is so close to the elements. We'll move on to acid. The supplies for this process include a bucket, which I have cleaned out beforehand, so there's no chemicals in there. A clean measuring cup with cup indications that I know will not react to acid. This one is conveniently a 4-cup measuring cup. Muriatic acid, and of course associated eye protection and other protective gear is necessary. This is a salt chlorinator cleaning stand. I will post a link for this in the comments below. And for any pool work, we always have the O-ring lubricant. Let's get some filtered water. Filtered water from the refrigerator should be sufficient for this. I'll pour these 4 cups directly into the bucket. Now carefully measuring 1 cup of muriatic acid. This will slowly be poured into the water. A small amount of lubricant will be applied to the O-ring in my stand. Not every time, but every couple of times I apply this, just to make sure it doesn't leak and to preserve that O-ring. And now the salt chlorinator will be screwed into the stand, making sure that it's fully seated and snug down so it doesn't leak out the bottom of the stand. The stand will then be placed on level ground in an area safe for acid, and the acid will be slowly poured in, trying to ensure that all the acid makes its way in and not on the outside of the unit until it completely covers the elements. We'll immediately see a reaction from the acid in the form of bubbles. Now the instructions state that the acid should sit in here no more than 30 minutes. I like to keep acid in the unit no longer than 10 minutes. I find that in most cases, 10 minutes is more than sufficient to remove all the scale from the elements. However, as we measure this, we'll come to find that the reaction will completely stop a lot sooner than 10 minutes, having actually completed in only 2 minutes. And that means I'm going to use half the amount of acid next time for the 4 cups of water, given the same amount of scale buildup. And just to show this didn't subside due to the acid becoming equalized in pH from its exposure to the scale, I'm going to take the remaining acid that was not touched, place it right back in here, and we see there's absolutely no reaction. So once there's no more scale, there's no reaction even from fresh acid, and we know we can use at least half the amount of acid next time, which makes it a lot easier to neutralize when you're using less muriatic acid. I pour this into the acid bucket, and we move on. First thing I'm going to do is spray down the chlorinator with water before I handle it so I don't get any of the acid on me, and then I'm going to fill up the inside with water. I'll spill all this into my acid bucket. At this point, the stand can now be unscrewed and put off to the side. Taking our first look inside, we see everything is now perfectly clean as compared to how it looked like on the top left. A notable improvement. We'll continue with our rinse out now. Using the hose, we're just going to spray out everything, hitting the outside as well, just to make sure all the acid is removed. We don't want any residual acid on here. And with that, the chlorinator is done and ready for assembly. Using the O-ring lubricant again, we'll put a very thin layer on the O-rings on the end of the PVC pipes here, these couplers. This is a good practice to do every time you disconnect. Observing that it is in the same direction as removed, the chlorinator is centered between those 2 pipes on those O-rings, and then the first coupler is loosely fitted on one side to support it, followed by the second coupler loosely fitted to hold everything in a position, and then tightened down, not all the way, but just to remove the slack. We come back to the first one and tighten it down to remove the slack. After a couple of turns, making my way back to the first one, also making sure that the salt chlorinator continues to be pointed upwards. So once that's fully seated, we fully seat the other one. Come back to the first one and fully seat it. Now I'll position myself over one side, making sure it's straight up and down, and then holding it and tightening it, snugging it down. Doesn't have to be tightened with a wrench. And coming around the other side and doing the same thing, snugging it down. The pump will then be turned back on first. We'll wait for that to ramp up. As the pressure rises on the filter, we can see that it is at full speed for prime, an opportune time to test right here at the salt chlorinator for any leaks, so we observe for any water dripping, and we don't see any. So now I'll purge the air from the top of the filter. and plug our chlorinator cable back into its power supply. Then we'll fire up the breaker for the chlorinator, and I'll tell you that it takes about 2 minutes for any testing to complete before the salt light goes green and the cell light turns on. So, in case you're wondering, it does take a couple of minutes for that to happen. There's no issue. And there it is, turned on in full operation. We'll wash under this cover just in case any acid got in there. So we'll flip it open, first hitting it with our dry towel, then spraying it with just a little bit of water, and then subsequently drying it again. That completes the work on the salt chlorinator, so we'll go back to the breaker box and flip on the boost pump, and close the breaker box because we're done here. All the equipment that was used will be separately washed. We can actually see that I dropped the O-ring, but I found it in the grass. This is a clean bucket with clean water. There are several ways to neutralize acid. Baking soda is one such method, but there are several pool chemicals that could be used that are caustic that could bring the acidity level back up to balance. I'm just citing one possible example, and after mixing the baking soda with water, I then add a significant amount of water to our acid bucket to dilute it, to make it safer, and then testing very slowly, adding our baking soda water mixture. We test for a reaction, and we can see that the reaction is not violent, so it's safe to keep adding more. And as we do, we see a reaction happen and then fizzle out. When I'm satisfied that it is not strong enough to cause any violent reaction, I may elect to actually add baking soda to that mixture to further bring it into balance. And we could see that the addition of the baking soda does have a reaction in the water, but it is by no means violent at this point. I could just keep adding to neutralize it. Again, there are more effective methods to neutralize acid than simply adding baking soda to it. This is just one such possibility. Also, if I did not need to use so much muriatic acid as demonstrated in this video, it would become much easier to neutralize it with a lot less caustic substance. Research the best way to neutralize acid with the products you have, and do so at your own risk. Also, once you have neutralized it, consult with your local county or city to find out how to legally dispose of that water once you've completed. And that concludes this video on the maintenance and cleaning of this ICHLOR 30 salt chlorinator from Pentair. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, helps me out a lot when you do, and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. When the next video in the series comes out, a link will be posted in the top right corner. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?